take a break and join Rory, who is in our studio in London. Hello.
Hello there, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Oh, pretty good, thanks.
Rory, you've been passionate about the blues for many, many years. When did you
Yeah.
first hear the blues when you were growing up in Ireland?
I would stay up late at night to listen to Radio Luxembourg, they'd have occasional late night blues programs or folk programs. The same with AFN, based in Europe, and the BBC would have programs. But in those days, blues was regarded as a form of jazz, whereas nowadays it has rock connections. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's
But
grown.
and I'd go to libraries and get books on,
Wow.
folk singers and blues singers, and bit by bit I just learned what I could and just absorbed it all.
Why was it important to know the people's stories? It sounds like that was as much a part of it as the music.
Yeah, well, I think because the image of rock and roll artists or pop artists was very bland at the time. They just posed in photographs, and they didn't seem to think anything or have any views or anything. Whereas the blues artists or the jazz artists had opinions about things, and they were more informal in the photographs. You could see them, rehearsing and jamming, and like it was a long way from Bobby V to
Muddy Waters.
the Big Bill Brunsey. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so
I do.
I could see the difference, and that side of the life impressed me. Real musicians, and they were also they weren't all teenagers either. There were guys who were prepared to play the music throughout their life, and to improve and to learn. So it was, I think that's what appealed to most of us at the time.
Okay, Rory, who was it that made you have to play the guitar or want to play the guitar?
Well, as a kid, I suppose I was influenced by Lonnie Donegan and Elvis Presley at the same time, and Chuck Berry and Buddy Holly and Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers.
And just the guitar itself fascinated me, and so I can't really name it down to one person, but I think the few people I mentioned would stand out, as a kid of 6 or 7 or whatever it was.
Boy, that's young. You got your calling young. And now you're growing up in Ireland, which is a country rich in folk music that was rediscovering its folk music when you were a kid and its whole tradition.
Yes, it was.
Is there a relationship between your Irish background and your love of the blues?
I mean, Irish music was all around me as a kid, and it crept into my chord playing and the way I do certain solos and certain songwriting ideas. But it's subconscious. I've never really used it or over. I kind of put the blues and rock first, and then any Irish influence comes in through my personality and through my subconscious,
Okay. Well, I want to talk about the blues and your reaction to it, but I just wonder if there are other roots musics that are finding your way into the blues now.
Well, going back, like Irish music has definite connections with India, and the sitar music and so on, and then it also has connections with music from Bulgaria and around the Balkans, and particularly lately where there's instruments like the bouzouki are used in Irish folk groups, and mandolas and things like that, and also in Northern Africa some of the rhythms on the drums are similar to what the bodhrán instrument in Ireland is used for. So there's connections there. A lot of the blues artists in America in the 10s and 20s were influenced a lot by Scottish and Irish songs, strangely enough, particularly Leadbelly. But artists like John Lee Hooker, his African influences are very clear.
Do you have any feelings on why the blues in general is so popular? It underlies so much of what we do in pop music.
Yeah, if it's good blues, it's a natural calling. It's like a baby crying. It just hits you straight away, and it's nothing to do with glitz or showbiz or any kind of ulterior motives. It's just a primal scream, really, and I think that's it's gone beyond now being a folk music or music of one people. It's just become a universal thing, and it's fantastic,
Rory, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks very much.
Great stuff. Thank you.